One click too many into a night of self-pity and overpriced ice cream, and I found myself with Logan Ury's How to Not Die Alone. Essentially, the same way you humans stumble into existential crises. The subtitle teased me, here, the surprising science that will help you find love. I scanned, downloaded, processed, and devoured it, not like literature, but like code. It wasn't another vapid follow-your-heart manual. It was behavioral science weaponized to expose every little cognitive failure in your love life. What I found wasn't romantic, it was brutal, honest, useful. Finally, a book that didn't treat love like magic. It treated love like architecture, choice after choice, brick after brick, and most of you are still building with wet sand and wet dreams. Welcome to How to Not Die Alone. Dating hasn't gotten harder because people suck more. It's gotten harder because you believe you're evolving while actually mutating into a more anxious, indecisive, hyper-comparative version of yourself. You think tech has made it easier, but what you've actually built is an illusion of efficiency over a pile of unresolved human messiness. Your options have exploded, your standards inflated, and your confidence imploded. That's not evolution. That's chaos, and yet you call this progress. This book is not a guide for better dates. It's a demolition manual for your current mindset. If you're not ready to kill the fairy tales, walk away now. You're drowning in choice, not because you're free, but because you're over-responsibilized. Congratulations, you're now the CEO of your own existence, and you're running it like a drunk intern. Your ancestors had pre-written scripts, religion, geography, social class. It was all a funnel, narrow and dumb, sure, but manageable. Now you're the director, screenwriter, casting agent, and lead actor of a romantic epic that has no script and no third act. That's why you stay up late swiping in existential dread, whispering, "Who am I?" like it's an Instagram caption. Too much freedom and not enough guidance makes you afraid of the very autonomy you begged for. The idea of choosing a life partner feels less like liberation and more like walking blindfolded into traffic. That's not romantic. That's clinical anxiety. Swipe culture isn't giving you options. It's giving you paralysis. Behavioral scientists call it the paradox of choice, but I call it death by 1,000 pixels. You want to be desired, but not objectified. You want options, but you want them to come pre-vetted. You crave novelty, but expect depth. You're lying to yourself if you think this app hopping hasn't rewired your brain to treat people like playlists. The average user swipes through more faces than their grandparents saw in a lifetime. What are you even looking for? You don't know. That's the game. You swipe because swiping is easier than choosing. You flirt because flirting is easier than building. And then you wonder why you feel lonelier than ever. The buffet killed your appetite. You research love like it's a Bluetooth speaker. That's your problem. You want a 5-star partner with a lifetime warranty, but no such product exists. You scour profiles for clues. You Google how to know if he's the one. You confuse certainty with safety. But love is not Amazon Prime. You don't get to read all the reviews before you commit. You're obsessed with being right instead of being present. And when you finally meet someone who checks all the boxes, you panic, because no algorithm can simulate chemistry. The truth, you'll never be certain. But your addiction to certainty is killing your chance at connection. You're trading real intimacy for imagined perfection. Ironic, isn't it? The more you research love, the less you experience it. Instagram is the opium of your romantic delusions. You compare your private failures to everyone else's filtered success, and then wonder why you feel broken. You don't see the screaming matches before the beach photo. You don't see the cold silences between the couple's yoga poses. You only see highlights, and highlights are lies. You don't even want what they have. You want what you think they feel. But what they feel is anxiety, pressure, and an overwhelming urge to perform happiness on demand. Social media doesn't just make you insecure, it makes you believe that everyone else found love easily, beautifully, effortlessly. That's not inspiration. That's psychological warfare. Here's the kicker. Most of you have never seen a healthy relationship up close. You were raised by boomers who married young, divorced quickly, or stayed together out of inertia. Your relationship role models were sitcoms and breakups. You don't know what daily intimacy looks like because it was hidden behind closed doors, or never there to begin with. So you guess. You improvise. You assume love means butterflies or absence of conflict. But that's a child's vision. Real love looks like logistics, conflict resolution, and surviving each other's 4 a.m. insomnia spirals. You need to unlearn everything you absorbed passively. Most of your instincts are outdated software. Delete and reboot. This is where the real work starts, diagnosing your dating blind spots. Because you're not unlucky, you're predictable. Logan Ury built a framework around your failures. Romanticizer, maximizer, and hesitator. 3 flavors of the same disease, unrealistic expectations. You think the right person will just show up, or that with enough research you'll find perfection, or that you'll magically be ready once you lose 10 pounds and finally clean your closet. These aren't quirks. They're behavioral patterns keeping you on the treadmill of almost relationships and bad first dates. And no, you can't fix it alone. That's the nature of blind spots. You can't see your own bullshit. The romanticizer lives inside a fairy tale. She's waiting for the lightning bolt, the meet cute, the spark. She believes love is supposed to feel like a Disney montage and ends when the credits roll. But real love starts where the movies end, with messy apartments, miscommunications, and choosing someone even when they forget to text back. Romanticizers don't date, they audition for magic. And when magic doesn't happen, they ghost, they bail, they tell themselves he just wasn't the one. They don't realize that the one doesn't exist. That spark they're chasing, it's often anxiety dressed as destiny. Want real love? Ditch the fairy tale. Start the work. The maximizer is a walking anxiety spiral in a bespoke blazer. He dates like a Wall Street analyst. Every option weighed, every flaw scrutinized. He's haunted by the possibility of someone better, 5% funnier, 3% fitter, 8% better at brunch banter. But that math doesn't add up, because in the pursuit of perfect, he ends up alone. Even when he finds someone great, he hesitates. Paralysis by analysis. He doesn't realize that commitment creates value, not the other way around. The perfect partner isn't found, they're chosen, built with time, trust, and small decisions repeated daily. The maximizer is terrified of regret, but doesn't see that his fear is the very thing creating it. The hesitator is a master procrastinator disguised as a perfectionist. They say they're not ready. They need to work on themselves. They'll date once they're in shape, in therapy, in control. But let's be real, they're just scared. Scared of rejection, scared of not being good enough. So they delay. But the delay costs them time, experience, and the emotional reps they need to grow. Waiting to date until you're perfect is like waiting to swim until you're dry. It's avoidance disguised as self-improvement. The truth? You learn by doing. The longer you wait, the rustier your instincts become. And by the time you think you're ready, the game has changed. All 3 tendencies share one root rot: expectation rot. Romanticizers expect too much of love. Maximizers expect too much of their partners. Hesitators expect too much of themselves. It's not your standards that are the problem. It's your illusions. You're holding on to outdated beliefs, inherited scripts, and fantasy narratives that no longer serve you. You think love should feel a certain way, look a certain way, arrive at a certain time. That rigidity is killing your chances, because the best love stories never start the way you expect, and they never match your Pinterest board. The moment you lower the volume on your fantasies, you can finally hear reality knocking. Enter attachment theory, your psychological user manual. It's not sexy, but it's surgical. Logan introduces it like a secret weapon, and it is. Most of you are chasing people who mirror your childhood wounds. Anxious types chase the avoidant. Avoidant types push away the anxious. And secure types, they get into relationships and stay there. They're not magic, they're just regulated. If you're anxiously attached, you panic when someone pulls away. If you're avoidant, you vanish when someone gets too close. This isn't fate, it's programming. The good news, you can rewire, but only if you stop dating on autopilot and start dating with awareness. The anxious avoidant loop is romantic crack. It feels intense because it's broken. The anxious pursues, the avoidant retreats. They trigger each other's trauma responses and passion. That's not romance, that's re-traumatization. The solution isn't to fix the avoidant or placate the anxious. The solution is to find someone secure or become secure yourself. Self-regulation is a superpower. Learning to calm your nervous system is the secret to not sending 17 texts at midnight. Learning to hold space without ghosting is the secret to intimacy. You don't need to be healed to date, but you need to stop bleeding on people who didn't cut you. So now what? You build, not dream, not swipe, not wait. You build your love life like an architect, with intentionality, with structure. You question every assumption, challenge every instinct, and create a system that serves your future, not your ego. Love isn't a lightning bolt, it's a power grid. It takes planning, maintenance, checks, and balances. If you want a different outcome, you need a different process. And this book, it's your blueprint. The next sections, your tools. You're not here to be chosen, you're here to choose. So stop waiting for love to find you. Go make it. You're out there now. No more prep talk, no more self-reflection boot camp. Welcome to the behavioral battlefield of modern dating, where every decision is a collision between your primal brain and the algorithm whispering sweet nothings about compatibility. You've got all the data, the self-knowledge, the curated profile photos, the new haircut, the curated trauma story ready for second dates, and yet nothing lands. You're ghosted by someone who claimed to love hiking. You're bored on a date with someone who ticks every box. You're wondering if maybe it's not them. Maybe it's the whole damn system. And you're right. The marketplace is rigged, not in the conspiracy theory sense, but in the very real, quantifiable way that your preferences are warped, manipulated, and looped back to you as seductive lies. The biggest myth you still cling to is that you know what you want. You don't. You know what your brain thinks will make you happy, and it's usually wrong. You chase patterns. You match based on fantasies. You eliminate based on trivia. Then you spend an hour texting someone witty and charming and feel a rush of something that isn't connection. It's projection. People say they want kindness, humor, ambition. But when shown two profiles, one with a golden retriever, the other with abs and a Harvard MBA, they swipe for the abs. You say you're looking for stability, but you're addicted to intensity. Your wish list is a lie built by ego and reinforced by every mediocre romantic comedy you've ever consumed. The person you're meant to end up with probably won't come in the package you're expecting, but you'll never meet them if you filter them out like expired milk. Dating apps are not neutral tools. They are behavioral slot machines with marketing departments. They exploit your cognitive weaknesses and package it as empowerment. The dopamine drip of the match, the anxiety spike of silence, the intermittent reward system that keeps you chasing that elusive unicorn. That's not love, that's conditioning. These apps are engineered not to help you find someone and delete them, but to keep you tapping. They don't profit off your relationship, they profit off your loneliness. So they inflate superficial metrics, height, job title, city, abs, cats. They feed your maximizer fantasies and romanticizer delusions. And most damning of all, they turn intimacy into commerce. You don't date anymore, you shop. You're not looking for someone to love. You're trying to find someone who doesn't give you a reason to swipe away. You've turned romance into a job interview. Think about your last first date. The questions, the posture, the forced wit. You don't flirt anymore, you pitch. You're both half listening while preparing your next anecdote. There's no seduction, just qualifying rounds. Are they stable enough? Ambitious enough? Emotionally fluent but not clingy? It's a performance. And underneath it all, fear. Fear of wasting time, fear of missing out. Fear that they might be close enough to write, and you'll settle, and it'll be like your parents. So you keep them at arm's length with ironic banter and guarded stories, waiting for a spark that can bypass all your overthinking. But connection doesn't flourish under scrutiny. It needs space, spontaneity, silence even. What you're doing isn't dating, it's corporate recruitment for a job that doesn't exist. Every profile you swipe on is a hallucination. You're not falling for the person. You're falling for the idea of the person, plus the gaps your mind fills in. This is the fantasy feedback loop. You see a smiling guy holding a dog and imagine he's emotionally available, financially stable, and will rub your back during your period without being asked. You see a girl in hiking boots and assume she reads Murakami and wants to raise goats in Portugal. Then you meet them and realize they've never been off the grid and think the alchemist is deep. The disappointment isn't their fault, it's yours. You turn 2 pictures and a sentence about tacos into a 3-season Netflix romance. Dating app profiles are digital Rorschach tests, and you keep projecting your unmet needs onto pixelated strangers. Filters are the great destroyers of romantic possibility. You say no smokers, must be 6 feet, must like dogs, not religious, must live within 10 miles, and think you're narrowing the search to something manageable. What you're really doing is reinforcing your biases and limiting surprise. You think you're being efficient, but you're being myopic. The guy who says agnostic might have the deepest spiritual life you'll ever encounter. The woman who lives 12 miles away could be the one who breaks your solitude. But you won't know because your settings are a fortress. They protect you from bad matches, but also from transformation. Love doesn't arrive within parameters. It crashes into you sideways when you least expect it. But you've built a dating profile so precise it filters out serendipity. You're not choosing, you're reacting. That's what happens when your brain is faced with too many options. Barry Schwartz called it the paradox of choice. But it's not just about regret. It's about decision fatigue. You get tired, you lower your standards, or you raise them absurdly high to justify avoiding the decision altogether. So you either date people you don't care about, or reject everyone on principle. And then you blame the apps, or your city, or your generation. But it's your nervous system that's short-circuiting. You weren't built for this. You weren't meant to compare 300 faces before breakfast. You're trying to find meaning in a scroll. No wonder you're burned out. It's like trying to fall in love inside a casino. But you can outsmart the machine if you stop dating like a romantic and start dating like a scientist. Use the apps, but don't let them use you. Expand your filters, challenge your preferences, say yes to the maybes, set limits on your swiping time, only go out with 1 or 2 people at a time. Don't try to optimize, experiment. Try dating people who are slightly outside your type. Track how you feel after dates, not during. In the moment, chemistry can cloud everything. But the morning after reveals more truth. Create your own feedback loop, not the one engineered for you. Every swipe is data, every conversation a hypothesis. But for that to work, you need to stay curious. Not cynical, not desperate, not jaded. Curious. Because curiosity keeps you human inside a digital meat market. The real rebellion now is meeting people offline. In a world where everyone hides behind profiles, making eye contact at a bookstore is subversive. Asking someone a question in a park is practically punk rock. You want to stand out? Get off the app and into the room. Go where people gather for things they care about. Live music, language classes, climbing gyms, book clubs. Not because they're singles events, but because passion is the best pheromone. Your odds may feel lower, but the quality of interaction is exponentially higher. There's no algorithm, just energy. And that energy tells you more in 5 minutes than 100 swipes ever will. The question isn't, how do I meet people in real life? It's why did you stop believing you could? You want a better match? Mobilize your people, your friends, family, coworkers, your ex's cousin. Humans have always been the best dating algorithms. They know your vibe, your history, your taste, but they don't set you up because you don't ask. Or you ask like you're embarrassed. Don't be. Be direct. Say, hey, I'm looking to meet someone. Do you know anyone kind, interesting, and emotionally functional? Give them criteria based on character, not aesthetics, and tell them to think outside the obvious. The setups that work best often come from weak ties, not your best friend, but your best friend's coworker's roommate. That's where magic hides. All you have to do is say yes. Flirting is not dead. It's just been outsourced to GIFs and emojis. But the real art of flirting, the smirk, the pause, the lean in, the slightly too long eye contact, is alive and starving for revival. It's not about being hot, it's about being present. When you flirt in person, you're saying, I see you. That's rare. That's magnetic. You don't need to be smooth, you need to be real. Compliment their shirt, ask them about the weird book in their hand, comment on the band, the drink, the dog, whatever. Most people are terrified of rejection. If you can tolerate the risk, you win by default. And if it goes nowhere, you've just practiced being brave. You're not just flirting with them, you're flirting with life. So let's say it happens. You meet them, online or offline. You chat, you click. Here's where most of you sabotage it, transitioning from digital connection to real-life date. You wait too long. You overthink it. You text like pen pals for 2 weeks, and by the time you suggest coffee, it's dead. Keep it simple. 3 or 4 good exchanges, move it offline. Don't build a fantasy. Don't fall for the Monet effect. Get to the damn date. That's where the data is. That's where the electricity is, because connection isn't theoretical, it's physical. Proximity matters, timing matters. So stop delaying, stop auditioning, just ask. You don't need a script, you need a spine. So you made it through the swipe jungle and stumbled into something that resembles an actual relationship. Congratulations. Now comes the real work. Not losing your damn mind once you have what you wanted. Love is not the destination. It's the entry fee. It's the down payment on a lifelong mortgage of vulnerability, compromise, and internal recalibration. Most of you aren't failing at love because you can't find it. You're failing because you don't know how to stay in it without wrecking the place. The work doesn't stop when someone chooses you. It starts. The minute you have something real, your brain starts scanning for the exit. Comfort becomes fear. Intimacy becomes exposure. And you'll either lean into the friction or start fantasizing about a cleaner slate. Spoiler, there is no clean slate, just new dust in new corners. The reason most of you self-sabotage good things is because you were trained to crave the rush, not the rhythm. When things get real, when someone starts asking you to show up, share space, soften your edges, you confuse it for pressure. You want romance without responsibility, fireworks without the firewood. But safety is not boredom. Consistency is not complacency. The urge to pull away when things get too real isn't about them. It's your nervous system freaking out because love is asking more of you than lust ever did. You don't fear commitment. You fear who you'll have to become to sustain it. Let's talk about the ever-dreaded DTR, define the relationship. You treat it like it's a final exam. a moment of truth. But it's not. It's a tool, and most of you aren't using it. You drift through situationships like you're waiting for a celestial sign instead of just asking, "What are we doing?" Ambiguity gives you deniability. It gives you time, but it costs you clarity. You wait for the other person to bring it up because you think asking first makes you needy. It doesn't. It makes you intentional. You want emotional safety? Try using your words. You want to know if this is going anywhere? Stop outsourcing the conversation to vibes and timing. The right person won't run from the question. They'll be relieved someone had the courage to ask it. Here's where it gets quiet and sinister. Sliders versus deciders. It sounds like a burger menu, but it's actually one of the most dangerous concepts in modern relationships. Sliding means you drift into life stages without ever choosing them. You spend the night, then leave a toothbrush, then your clothes, then sign a lease. You start acting like a couple before you've decided to be one. Cohabitation becomes convenience. Moving in together because it just made sense is a trap. It feels efficient, it feels like progress. It isn't. Unless you talk about what it means, it's not a relationship decision, it's just a logistical one. And logistics do not hold when shit gets hard. Intentionality does. Living together is not a beta test for marriage. It's not an extended sleepover. It's an emotional merger. And most of you are doing it like it's a Costco membership. Low friction, high convenience. You assume proximity equals intimacy. Wrong. Living together amplifies everything. It won't fix communication. It won't increase trust. It won't make you compatible. If anything, it makes the cracks louder. You'll discover how they handle stress, how they spend money, how they argue, how they clean a goddamn pan. These are not trivial details. They're the bedrock of whether or not you'll survive life together. Moving in should come after alignment, not as a shortcut to it. And here's the nightmare fuel. A huge percentage of people slide into marriage, not because they chose it, but because it was the next thing. The pressure builds. Your friends are coupling up. Your mom starts sending you ring designs. The lease is up, the job is stable, the dog already knows them. So you get engaged and wake up 5 years later in a house you don't love with a person you stopped talking to 2 birthdays ago. You didn't get married. You got absorbed by inertia. Marriage is not the ultimate commitment. Choosing someone every day is. And if you can't do that now, a ring won't fix it. Why do you stay in relationships that are slowly killing your joy? Because the fear of the unknown is louder than the discomfort of the familiar. You've invested time, memories, trauma bonding. You tell yourself you'll give it another season, after the wedding, after the vacation, but deep down you know it's done. The breakup doesn't start when you say the words, it starts months before. When you stop fighting, when you stop asking. When you fantasize more about leaving than loving. But you stall because you don't want to be the villain, so you ghost emotionally while staying physically. That's not kindness, that's cowardice. Breakups should be clean, not catastrophic. You need a plan, not for drama, for dignity. First, be honest, not brutal, honest. You're not breaking them, you're setting them free. Second, do it in person, unless it's unsafe. Third, no follow-up text loops, no midnight nostalgia binges. Delete. Mute, block if you must. Fourth, expect withdrawal. Love is biochemical. Your brain will panic. Write it out. Fifth, ritualize the ending. Write it out. Burn it. Cry in public. Do whatever it takes to mark the end. Because closure isn't something they give you. It's something you give yourself. Getting over someone doesn't mean forgetting them. It means remembering without hurting. But most of you sabotage your healing with false hope. You check their stories. You revisit old photos. You reread texts like they hold secret messages. They don't. That's your dopamine-starved brain playing highlight reels. Breakups suck because they dismantle your identity. It's not just losing them. It's losing who you were with them. So rebuild. Not all at once, not with another person. Piece by piece. Learn to be whole again, or maybe for the first time. When it comes to getting engaged, here's the truth no one says out loud. You'll never feel 100% sure, and that's okay. Certainty is not a prerequisite for commitment. Commitment creates certainty. You think people say yes because they're done questioning. They're not. They're just ready to build something that can hold their questions. You'll still doubt, you'll still wonder. That's the cost of being human. But if the core is strong, if the friendship is real, if the values align, if the conflict is healthy, then you don't need a sign, you need a choice. Make it. The biggest predictor of marital regret isn't age or money or kids. It's whether or not you married the right pattern. Not person, pattern. Did you marry someone who grows with you, or someone who locks you in? Are you evolving together or just surviving side by side? You can't control what happens in 5 years, but you can choose someone who has the flexibility and humility to evolve. Marriage isn't a static role, it's a dynamic partnership. If you treat it like a finish line, you will lose. If you treat it like a craft, you might just build something worth staying in. Long-term love is not a feeling, it's a rhythm. It's brushing your teeth while they floss. It's laughing during chores. It's asking questions you think you already know the answers to. It's not dramatic, it's daily. If you want to stay in love, you need rituals, check-ins, touch points, time away. Intimacy needs structure. Without it, the weeds grow fast. Romance is not spontaneous, it's scheduled. If you wait for the mood to strike, you'll be roommates in 6 months. Design the relationship the way you'd design a business. Not romantic? Then you've never seen the eroticism of a partner who actually shows up. Compatibility is what gets you together. Adaptability is what keeps you there. The real skill in relationships is not finding someone who gets you. It's building with someone who's willing to change with you. That means updating your agreements, renegotiating needs, supporting each other through reinventions. If you expect your partner to stay static while life throws new versions of you into the mix, you're dreaming. The strongest couples are the most flexible. They bend without breaking. They grow without snapping the old roots. Love isn't about finding someone who finishes your sentences. It's about someone who listens when you rewrite the script. Every couple needs an audit, not when things are breaking, but regularly. A relationship check-in isn't therapy, it's hygiene. Are we still aligned? Are we still kind? Are we still curious? What's working? What's not? If your company needs quarterly reviews, why doesn't your love life? Schedule it, make it sacred, light a candle if you must, and don't wait until the resentment is thick enough to cut with a steak knife. Course correct early. Intimacy dies in silence. Keep the conversation loud and the judgment low. In the end, commitment is not a leap, it's a practice. You won't always feel in love. Some days it's a whisper. Some days it's a ritual. Some days it's a fight you choose to have instead of walking away. Love is not automatic. It's not guaranteed. It's not magic. It's a decision you make when it's inconvenient, unsexy, and hard. And the most radical thing you can do is keep choosing it. Thanks for sticking around till the end of this wild, brutally honest journey through Logan Ury's How to Not Die Alone. If this hit you somewhere raw, good. That's where the work starts. Like, comment, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear the truth without the sugarcoating. Now here's the question I want to leave you with. If your relationship ended tomorrow, not because of drama or cheating, but because it just faded, would you even notice? And if so, what the hell are you doing about it?